Hiya. Stuff that I've been shouting about the corruption and how they don't deal with things, and there's more serious issues, and the council didn't like me talking about it. This man is actually Nicky Summers, the man who's brought these complaints, is having a hard time getting it through. So there's some things we're doing hopefully to help on this, but Nicky's story, I don't know if you're going to believe half of it, but the only problem is he has his evidence and proof, and the rest of the evidence and proof to prove this is not being given to him, even though we know it exists. So we're going to see how the council deal with this, and we're all remaining calm, even though it's been 11 years since the investigation started off, and the investigation's having to be investigated. The dark sides are coming out, but it's normal human beings who have suffered through on this now coming forward to say what's happened, and there's people protecting the, should we call it the paedophiles, by just the situation, how their system works, because asking them direct questions isn't making them look very good. So they're scouting around it and possibly lying. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, but are you getting the truth from everybody?
Well, the bottom line is for me that I went to Nottinghamshire Police in early 2003 to investigate an individual paedophile and make them aware of allegations into Beechwood Children's Home and Hazelwood Children's Home, and they took the details of the individual. They claimed that they did a robust investigation but failed to locate the person. They didn't have enough relevant information to trace the person, and they failed. I did register a professional standards complaint, which was not upheld. After that collapsed, I actually took it to the Nottingham City Council. I called them 2, 3, 4 times a week for about 6 or 7 weeks. Now, according to Ian Courier of Nottingham City Council, all those calls would have been logged. Now, I come into this last year, I've done lots of work on myself, because when I came into this, I was actually in a detox facility getting rid of my drug addiction. Today it's 11 years since I last used drugs, and that's been the driving force behind me getting to the bottom of it all. I put all the pieces of the jigsaw together through therapy, and I came to the police last year, and they told me there's actually a live investigation by Nottingham police officers called Operation Daybreak. Well, I gave all my information to Operation Daybreak, and what they said to me was they needed to set up a video interview via video link with the City of Rochester New York Police. I was phoning them every week for around 4 months. I was getting excuse after excuse after excuse. In the end, I got kind of hacked off, and I got in touch with a nearby neighbour who actually knew Chief of Police Jim Shepherd, and he contacted Jim Shepherd on my behalf. I spoke to Jim Shepherd's PA, and she said if you come down to the Public Safety Building in Rochester, New York, we'll put you in touch with someone from the Major Crimes Unit. I spoke to a senior officer from the Major Crimes Unit who told me that there was no connection with England at all. No one had contacted their office. And in the event that they had done, it would have had to go through the Chief of Police's office anyway for authorisation, because it would be the Chief of Police's responsibilities to actually authorise which officers are going to deal with the case.
So the British police actually lied then?
Yes, they did. I ended up battering verbally Operation Daybreak, and in the end we came to an arrangement where I went back down to Rochester Police, and I liaised with them to liaise with Nottingham Police. Basically I set up my own interview. Now, during the course of that interview, there was not enough information, because American police don't know the logistic layout of Nottingham and several elements, and Operation Daybreak told me that they would need to re-interview me. Now, I've been back in this country since April the 3rd. I've been banging on their door to re-interview me. They refused to have any dialogue with me at all, and I've accused them of cover-up. Now, what they've also informed me is that 2 statements that I made in 2003 have mysteriously disappeared.
They're going missing again, eh?
It does not come as a surprise because during my time in care from August 66 to November 1970, I was placed in 4 local authorities at the direction of Nottingham City Council. One of them is Somerset County Council, one is Nottinghamshire County Council, the other is Nottingham City Council, and I've just, this past week, got notification from Wakefield District Council that they no longer have any records of me. Now, when I went to Wakefield in 1967, they would have been given an handover document which would have been an exact copy of my records from Nottingham. I've had an Information Commissioner's Office investigation. There's nothing that they can do. They see through everything that's happened because they've complied with the Children's Act of 1989 and the Data Protection Act of 1908 and 2000. They can act outside of that and get away with it. But going back to the council, I did go back to them, and what happened was I got the same runarounds I did in 2003. Someone will call you back. And I had that for weeks. In the end, a whistleblower from the council got in touch with me.
Thank you.
And gave me the address of the elected leader of the council, Mr. John Collins.
Yeah.
John Collins lives at number 6 in the Meadows. If I go to my phone, I can actually give you his telephone number too, because I've had several conversations with him at his house. And I told him that in no uncertain terms, am I going to be given the runaround that I got in 2003. I'm not talking to the horse's tail or the horse's arse. I'm talking to you as the elected leader.
The one who takes the responsibility.
Yes. I told him the buck stops with you. You get me courier, and you get me courier by tomorrow, or I will have 50 protesters outside your house in the Meadows. And guess what? The following day I had a phone call from Ian Courier, and we started dialogue. The dialogue is all fabrications, you know what I mean? All my records have been destroyed, but Ian Courier has actually said that there's no trace of me with a foster carer.
Now, just for people listening who don't know Ian Courier, he was at one point up until last year the head of child services, yeah?
Yes, actually until this year. Just prior to June the 9th, when I had a meeting there, he was still in charge. The new person in charge of the social services, the new corporate director, her name is Alison Michalska. She's trying to work with me to try and piece together my time in care, wants to work with me to try and get me a compensation claim. Well, at the moment, a compensation claim does not give me answers. And as far as I'm concerned, they've been told where they can stick their money because I want answers and I want justice.
So basically they're just trying to buy you off.
Yeah. If it comes down to anything, Joe, it comes down to all the lies that they've told. They had a woman who's resigned called Dawn Collinson. Now, she told me that there was no record of admissions registers, period. Now, we recently got a document that identifies me being in Beechwood on page 48 of a 5-year register. Now, I know for a fact that I was in there at least 10 times. I've demanded, the ICO are backing me, to see that register, because they've already told me that in 1966, at the beginning, that was my first admission. The only other things they say they had was a discharge from Risley Hall Approved School from a computer screen. It actually says on that computer screen that I was discharged from Risley Hall Approved School on appeal. A CRB check will show that I was granted an absolute discharge. I was sent to that approved school for trying to blow the whistle to a Nottingham social worker called Smith, who raped me in the back of his car en route to Brooklands Remand Home. Now, on the subject of Brooklands Remand Home, Dawn Collinson said that if I was remanded by a court back to local authority care, I would not go outside the boundaries of the city or the county. So,
how did you get to the other places then?
I was taken by this social worker, Mr. Smith. And on one appearance when I came back up, because Langport's a long way, so they come and get me the day before, and they would lodge me at Beechwood. Well, Smith came into the cells at the Guildhall and said that he was going to have fun on the way back. But I actually decked him in the cells. And when the police came down to the cells, I actually said, if you have him drive me, I will make him crash his car. Thereafter, I was always taken by Nottingham Police in a motorway police car with motorway police officers all the way down there and brought back by them. But each time I was brought back, I was lodged at Beechwood. They can't show me no documents. There's also a thing that says when they destroy your records, there has to be a record of destruction, an authorisation. They haven't got that either.
So the record still might be there, but there's...
Well,
they're trying to say that there's no record. You weren't there.
They've given me a computer screen photograph that says files destroyed in 1978. I've challenged them on that, but after a whistleblower told me that they're using current legislation to destroy my records.
Get rid of the
So what I did, I complained to the Information Commission's Office, because that person also told me my file reference number, my full name, my religion, my full address, which was 152 Queen's Drive, The Meadows, Nottingham, and a lot of relevant information.
This is all from records that don't exist.
This is all from records that don't exist, that were being destroyed.
Amazing.
And they denied that any registers were available, but I went down the back route and I said, well, give me a record. It's called a major incident report. If something happens at a children's home that involves the police, fire or ambulance, it has to be logged. Now I've had verification of this from Kirklees District Council in Yorkshire, Stroud District Council in Gloucestershire, and Essex District Council, and they say that all the guidelines and protocols are the same, they always have been. And they can't give me that register. I was reported twice as a missing person. My sister, who lives in Barbados, actually sent me a message yesterday to say that she remembers my mother having to go to the police station and make a statement to say that she hadn't seen me. On one occasion when I ran away, I was taken to Wood Street Police Station in Wakefield after I ran away to a relative. But there's no trace of the missing persons reports. You know, and just like everything else connected to it, all the records have gone. But we have a good detective, the sister of one of my protest group, and she's like Miss Marple. We have uncovered documents, but both the police Operation Daybreak say do not exist, do exist. She's also got documents that totally refute all the stuff that both Ian Courier has said and Dawn Collinson said. As far as I'm concerned, they're just a bunch of liars. Operation Daybreak and the council's investigation is nothing short of a cover-up for all of their past failures. And as far as I'm concerned, I've travelled all the way from New York to fight this. I'm into this for just under 10 grand of my own money. You know, so if they think they're going to offer me a couple of grand to go away, they can kiss me, where I'd really like to kiss them.
Well, it's come out recently that they know they're going to get a load of claims because they know of the abuse that's been going off in these homes, and what they've been ordered to do is keep the claims as low as you possibly can. But so that either way, that'll admit that they're guilty, but I bet you anything they'll want everyone to sign a non-disclosure clause.
Well, let's talk about keeping it quiet, because corporate directors have lied. Ian Courier stated that the police said that there could be no comment. Corporate director Glenn O'Connell claimed that it was the insurance companies. Under the Freedom of Information Act, I've checked with these insurance companies after I got the details of them. A director of communications officer from one of them told me that they have no say in what the council do.
So let me just get this right. The council said that the insurance companies told them to ignore anything.
But I was with 3 people, with Glenn O'Connell, the legal services director, in the conference room in Loxley House, I believe it was April or May, and he said that they had been told by the insurance companies to limit the claims and not to put out any fresh media appeals. Now, I get one shot at giving them my chronology, the history of my case, and I've demanded several times that they run a fresh media appeal.
There are witnesses. There are people that you can remember, and hopefully they're still around.
Well, the thing is, one of them may not be of any use to me, because one of them, when I was in one of the children's homes, was a 8-year-old kid with a mental age of about 2 or 3, who was constantly abused and raped. You know, and I've given the police his name. I've given all the names I can. But what I did ask the police to do was search their records for the person that I ran away with on the last occasion, because that person will place me at Hazelwood.
Richie wasn't there apparently, according to the council.
Well, the council say that in the beginning that Hazelwood wasn't their property, but it's since been established via medical records that I was there. You know,
And so, it's one of their homes.
And we've been told once again that someone else within the council's services said that the property may not have even been registered as a children's home. So if it's not,
It's just the usual place to be, huh?
I want to know why I was being held in a property that was unsuitable for those users.
I would suggest that the reason, if it's not registered, was because then they haven't got to follow any of the protocols that they're supposed to follow, and they can just take kids there and rape them whenever they feel like it.
Well, so far, Operation Daybreak, I had about a dozen arrests, several people bailed, and no action. I believe one was actually charged with a rape offence, but since that was disclosed in the media, we've heard nothing. You know, it's like silence is golden, but as far as I'm concerned, silence is not justice. You know, I'm going to wrap it up on this. You know, yesterday's victims are today's witnesses.
Absolutely.
We'll get to the bottom of it. Say,
Vicky, what about Stafford? That Nottingham said that they didn't have nobody from Stafford.
Yes, I'll get you a copy of page 48 of the Beechwood Register, because Dawn Collinson, when she was asking me for people that I remember, the same as this woman Candida Brudenell, she said, "Who do you remember?" I said, "I distinctly remember Risley Hall, some lads from Stoke-on-Trent, and I also remember some other lads from Stoke-on-Trent at Beechwood." And I was told that until the Home Office took over the running of Risley Hall, that was impossible. And no kids would have been at Beechwood from Stoke because it's outside of their jurisdiction. Well, on page 48, and I believe I may have it in my phone, but I'll definitely get you a copy of page 48, it says 3 admissions, Stoke CB, which is Stoke City Borough Council.
It seems like all the councils are corrupt, and we've just come about up north, up Rotherham Way, where they've been all paedophiles. We've known about Nottingham for a long time, but they've been hushing it up the best they can. Have you had any threats to keep it quiet?
I'll stay away for this one. Remain calm. Don't laugh.
Well, yes, I have. The police told me if I out the paedophiles, right, that's involved in my stuff, that I could get arrested for obstruction of their investigation. So I did. I outed them on my Facebook page and on Twitter. I got a warning from the council, and that warning was that if I out them and connect the council's name, they will take me to court for slander and libel. So I had a meeting with the Chief Executive of Nottinghamshire County Council, the new Corporate Director of Social Services, Alison Michalska, and several other people connected to the councils on June the 9th. We had a protest there, but I'm pictured with a big banner that totally outs those same paedophiles, and in big red letters at the bottom of that big protest banner, it says, all paedophiles employed by Nottingham City Council.
Well, you've got nothing to worry about, because the well-known paedophile Ken Clark, who's left Parliament now but has been put in charge of investigating the paedophilia that went on in Beechwood Guest Home.
Don't think you know well these bits, but it goes a bit darker, doesn't it? You know, you were saying about different people you've been in the past. Is there anybody you actually can't find that you would be worth actually mentioning their name to see if they're still around? Or do you think that might be
I wouldn't want to put it out in public, but
we'll see if anybody's catching on for this, because I say the people who have known this man from the past is what we're looking for. You don't have to be frightened. He's
yeah, but what we also need is, because they claim that there's no records. This is Dawn Collinson once again. She said that she checked all the education files and there's no education files for Welbeck School. Well, there are. And she also said that they checked for this headmaster, Peter Howitt. He was the headmaster at Welbeck School on Queen's Drive in the Meadows. And apparently, according to council records, they've never employed him. So we're in the process of having an investigator do some trawling, and I've got no whatsoever that I will at one point place Peter Howitt at Welbeck School on Queen's Drive. I could also place Peter Howitt at Beechwood Children's Home. Now, how would a school headmaster be needed in a children's home? You know, how did school teachers end up there? Because it was in the evening. Any school lessons that would be done during the day, but this was all in the evenings in the cellar at Beechwood. But I do have one thing that I do need to put out. I'm going to be in receipt of a video quite soon. Now, Beechwood has been closed for several years, as common knowledge. It recently sold. Well, just prior to it selling, I'm going to have a video of someone of some people that went in there, and I'm going to hand that video over to an independent police force.
Is this anything to do with the paperwork, I think?
It is to do with paperwork.
That they don't
I will let you view the video as soon as I've got it.
Make sure a lot of people have copies of it as well, just in case.
What it does, right, it goes into the cellar and it shows all these filing cabinets.
Empty, of course.
No. They're full of childcare records. Now, some of those
in the building that's being sold?
Yes, and the drawers were opened and some of the files were looked at, but none of the files were taken because that would be theft.
Yeah.
And we're not dishonest people. And
No wonder they can't find their paperwork.
well, all I can say is stuff that they said that didn't exist, we've got an investigator that's turning it up. And now, I don't care. You know, another bottom line for me is they can send me to jail because I will have a roof over my head, I will have 3 meals a day, right? I'll still have my cigarettes and the other things. I don't drink or do drugs, so that's not a problem.
But why should you go to jail? It's the paedophiles that should go to jail.
Well, they want to silence me at all costs. And there is a precedent of what people wanted to be silenced, right? Like, there's a woman called Melanie Shaw.
Thank you.
Right?
We're trying to find her today, aren't we, as well?
Apparently, according to her blog, she was meant to be in court today.
Not listed.
And not listed, so
So she couldn't
Corruption
be
in the courts.
She probably hasn't been there. They wouldn't try it without listing her, would they? Because she's been locked up for a while on remand, and she's saying pretty much exactly the same as you, and naming the names, but they're trying to make her look a bit, so she's delusional.
well, Joe, the thing that I get most of all is like where she's at. She did try to meet with me some time back, and she's paranoid that everyone's out to get her, you know, and she actually thought that she was so paranoid, she actually thought that I worked for the council. And because I've been having dialogue with the council about my case, I've got nothing but hatred for them, you know. Ian Courier once again last year, when he got on the phone to me, quite condescendingly, he actually said to me, "But Mickey, we're talking about things that happened a long, long time
Yeah.
ago.
Not going on now, are they?
Historic, that's what they're trying to get at. They want it to be all go back to historic so they don't know, everyone else doesn't realise it's going on today.
Well, I've had the consequences of all that, my failed relationships, a lifetime of drug addiction, and in and out of jail. You know, I mean, I have no shame about that. You know, they're my consequences, and I've lived them. You know, but really, and truthfully, some of the work that I've done with therapists, psychiatrists, and people who know that I've not been all there at times, backtrack it all back to my time in care.
Well, if anyone thinks about what you've been through, I'm sure that would send everybody down a road of self-destruction and everything, and that's what the drugs were about, because you probably hated yourself or you wanted to escape because of what had happened to you. But you've been strong now, you've stood up and you're telling the truth. That's the main thing. Do you want to give your Facebook and Twitter so if everyone can log on and keep up with you?
Yeah, my name's Mickey Summers, and
If you're a victim of circumstance, that doesn't mean what you call it. You should be abused. He's a victim of circumstance for his upbringing.
yeah, I mean, I was placed in there under the under section 13.6 of the Matrimonial Act. That is on page 48 of that document that I've got. Right, I wasn't placed in there as a criminal, but I was abused, just like a criminal would have been abused. I was there for care and protection. You know, some kind of protection I got.
Right, well, I'm actually going to say we're going to have to return to normal world for a short bit on here. But if anybody wants to show some support, follow this, see what's happening. But we've got to sort some stuff out on Monday because this is his day to sort these things out. So if anybody's around on Monday, keep in close contact. We don't want rabble, we don't want to cause stink. We just want to make sure that people don't try to hide the truth.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've got a protest outside the council house.
Wait, is that on the Market Square?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Every protest that we've had, and we've had several, I've notified the City Police events team. Now, what that means is that they're aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I've had good dealings with a guy called Lloyd Majors, who's the guy that organises police if they're needed. And he will tell you, every protest of mine has been peaceful. And the only thing that I ask is anyone who attends follows what we've done. We don't want no riffraff.
You're not jumping on the bandwagon. There's reasons behind this.
We have a genuine reason to protest, you know, and like yourselves, I believe there's stuff still going on.
Yeah, the agenda we have, because the thing we've got the agenda is truth, and then if you've got the truth, you can see if you're going to let it happen again. But you can't do that until you've dealt with the skeletons in your closets, because you've left them in other people's, it's making them happy and isn't helping. When they're brave enough to come and shape this skeleton in their closet, and they find it's got your name on it, or should we say a corporate name, make sure if you're working with a corporation you're not protecting anybody within there, because truth is truth, and getting to the bottom of it, no matter how painful it is. This man had to go through a lot of pain, he's reliving it, and he's having to relive it on a daily basis when everybody is jumping away. So it's calmly show, Mickey, people are not just listening, but we're here behind you if you need us, and that means literally behind, side by side. I don't really mind, but let's get some truth out. But anybody who's paid to deal with this and who thinks their job is to slow it down or pass it around, you've got to come forward. Absolutely everything's got to come forward. I mean, I only meant to deal with little bits and pieces of low level law. It's exactly the same. It's the strength that we've got to say no, and apparently we can't even say no to, what should we call it, indecent acts, paedophilia, that might even still be going on because they have protection and this man is offered none. So you've got protection from general people, public, ourselves, while we deal with this, and we'll see if the machine is stronger than the human. But there are some dirty humans out there, and that is messing up our machine that can give us love and look after us. Deal with this, we make sure it doesn't happen again, but leave it as it is. They'll do it again and again.
And the worst thing is, if you don't come forward and start giving us the evidence that is needed, other children are going to be raped, stolen by child services, stolen by social services, and probably supplied
courts,
to paedophile rings.
Family courts, ultimate power. Anybody who's in with them, like a surgeon, can turn around and tell the parents they're going to lose their child unless you let me
The only thing that I left out was I was looking at something that's posted by the UK column, who interviewed me on July the 24th. That video is available on YouTube on the UK column July the 24th. Now, it's been said by Chris Eyre, the Chief Constable of Nottingham, that the UK column should stop reporting on Beechwood, and I believe they also said about Melanie Shaw. Now, I guess now that they've got rid of Melanie Shaw, maybe there's a chance that my name might come in the frame. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned, they're already being investigated by the IPCC, so...
Yeah, unfortunately the IPCC is run and controlled by them, so I don't hold out much hope with the IPCC.
Well, 48% are ex-policemen.
Well, they've now got to do a total reinvestigation of my 2003 case, and I know what I need to do, and until Tuesday, I don't want to put that in jeopardy by commenting on what I have on them, and they can come back at me with things like sub judice, so I'm not going to put myself in the position where I give them ammunition to fire back at me.
So unfortunately to me, this is just my opinion, but it would seem like the Chief Constable of Nottingham is probably involved with this.
So, someone somewhere is pulling the strings, but I'm not going to lay a finger of accusation until I've got a little bit of
But
fact.
just had a nice meeting with Theresa May.
Yeah, I mean, talk about Theresa May. When I was in New York, I emailed her several times, never got a response back. And I actually used to live in a neighbouring constituency to her, and I used a friend's address in Maidenhead. I also contacted her party's office around Maidenhead, left messages on their voicemail. No one come back to me, but what can I do? I'm just Joe Public, and I guess really I'm one of the 99%. And I think I'm going to just leave it there.